1, 2, 3, 4.
In this podcast, you will be here. Knights of Vader, Knights of Vader includes, but is not limited to talk of Star Wars, not ray guns. We can't truly prepare you for the jump that follows this song, but hey, we gave it a try. So here's the Knights of Vader. Crystal Fox reports they are divided. Prequel, sequel, hate and love they fight. I know that we are just musicians tired, and their time is up. So here's the Knights of Vader.
Impressive. Most impressive.
A big thank you, maybe, to An Insperiority Complex for providing our theme song. It is July 26, 2024. My name is Zach Weber, and joining me today is the great and powerful Yazo, Joe.
Hello, everybody.
And we have Russ.
Hello, Zach. Hello, everyone.
And we have the owner of the last sexy shock tea in existence, Chris.
Yeah, it's no longer a surprise that I'm here. I'm usually here. Yeah, I guess it was a foregone conclusion. It's weird to go last, but yeah, happy to be here. I'm trying to remember what I found profound and interesting about the last couple episodes of the Electrolyte, and it's coming back to me.
Oh boy, is it so many, like the PTSD is real. Yes, folks, we are here, almost 2 weeks after, a week and a half after the show ended, probably 2 weeks by the time you're hearing this. We are discussing episodes 6, 7, and 8 of the Electrolyte. We finally know what happened on Brendock. We finally know what happened to the Coven of Lesbian Space Witches. They turn into smoke monsters. Somewhere J.J. Abrams is throwing his shoe at the TV. But before we get into that, I have to ask Chris. It wouldn't be appropriate unless we had some, quote, Lego talk, as it's affectionately known. Chris, what are your thoughts on all the Hasbro stuff unveiled at Comic-Con? We're getting a blurg. We're getting a vintage collection blurg.
Well, Zack, the blurg was announced quite a while ago. I don't think they showed it yet.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, they showed it.
Okay, they didn't show it until just the other day, but it was announced like a year ago. But it takes them that long. But that Mandalorian 4-pack, like weird. The baby parrot hunters, like, get out of here with that boring stuff. That's a yawn fest. And they put out this 25th anniversary Black Series Trade Federation Stap with droid that is like vaguely similar to the episode 1 launch toy, but like they made the packaging red instead of green, and it just doesn't look right. They fumbled the bag.
It's a rookie move for Hasbro. A rookie move.
Yeah, Stap's cool though.
I was actually going to ask, if they're doing the stat because it was the first figure released. It's like, yeah, it was, and it was boring. Like, do a pod racer, do something interesting.
I don't know, man. I remember getting that and not knowing what it was, and I was like, this is metal as hell. Who even knows how murderous this thing is going to be in the movie? Meanwhile, it's like it sort of flies by the camera like once.
And Qui-Gon destroys it immediately.
Yeah, with ease.
Well, the one thing I heard about that was that the battle droid actually has a flexible antenna instead of it being rigid. That was one of the things I saw on it. And I was like, wow.
25 years of engineering.
Yeah. So that's that's plus. That's a plus for Hasbro.
We're truly living in the future. It's definitely 2024. Our antennas are moving.
It took 25 years to get a flexible antenna on a battle droid.
All right. But we have to talk about the Cantina. The Cantina backed with was a little over 14,000 backers.
Yeah, 2,000 and change shy of the other Wolfman that we've never had a 3 3/4 figure of.
They didn't reach the goal. They didn't hit the goal of the final Wolfman.
That's right. They missed out on the last Wolfman, who is wearing, he's wearing like regular street clothes, much like a Wolfman from a Universal monster film. He's just got a Wolfman mask over his head. Whatever extra they found on the street over there. But they didn't make that. It'll probably come out anyway. I did back it. I backed the basic version that didn't have like the extra walls because I couldn't conceive of a way where I would ever display it with them extra walls, and I didn't think it looked that good with the extra walls. And it's kind of hard to display even without them because, like, you're sort of looking through a window of like a 5-inch space. If you manage to position it roughly eye level, it will look coolest that way. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm thinking about the display options. I'm gonna figure out something nice.
Well, you, Zach, you didn't bet. Were you a backer?
I was not a backer. I sat on the sidelines. I was kind of calculating all the Hot Toys figures I have pre-ordered for next year, and
Jar Jar.
I'm like, yeah, like I gotta start saving money now. Like pretty much $100 out of every paycheck has to go toward the Hot Toys fund, just so I don't go bankrupt sometime in like mid to late 2025.
Yeah, by that time you're gonna get all these sweet acolytes and Khmers, and everyone's gonna want Smilo Ren or the Stranger. That'll be out.
What's fascinating is that the Clone Commander Obi-Wan that I pre-ordered in like summer of 2022 finally shipped. I got an email like this Monday being like, oh yeah, the thing you pre-ordered in August of 2022. Yeah, it finally shipped. And I'm just like, bruh, like I forgot I paid for this. And I'm just like, man, like these things really do have, like, they are made to order. It's a 2-year turnaround, like time frame. Like I get it. Somebody's like hand painting these, but man, 2-year turnaround time. It's something else for like the collectible game.
I look forward to not remembering that I ordered that Dark Empire Luke in like a year when it comes out.
Fun fact, you will not get that until sometime in 2026.
I think that one will be faster. It's a Luke head and soft goods. They've probably made it.
And you would think a clone like, oh god, clone like armor Obi-Wan would be easy. It's just a head sculpt with this like fabric. They do what they want, man. These things are all like basically made to order. But no,
I don't understand it.
Yeah, Star Wars collecting, what could have been. All right, so with that aside, maybe some more Lego talk later in the recording. The Electrolyte, we finally have a conclusion as to what happened on Brendock. Apparently, you can just kill a Jedi with force choking, and that's the weird sort of Rosetta Stone of killing a Jedi without a weapon. I'm going to lay my cards on the table. I'm going to anger Chris early in the discussion. I kind of adore this show. As a complete product from episodes 1 through 8, it might be my favorite Disney Plus Star Wars show. It's very Rise of Skywalker-y. I love how clunky it is. I think even though obviously episode 5 is great, I love that episode. I pretty much fell in love with this show with episode 7. Watching, I think as Chris so eloquently put it, apparently if you don't properly disconnect your Space Coven like mind meld, it wipes out the entire clan. I mean, it's so delightfully clunky. Watching a Wookiee with a metal detector look for the Force with it, I don't know how anyone could dislike this show. This is just grade A schlock. And I'm not trying to be cute or like ironic. This is great. Like we have a child be like, Mom, I don't want to be on the Force planet looking for like a virgins in the Force. We're not leaving, Johnny, until we find the virgins. So if I find 2 little girls who are virgins, can we go home then? Maybe. Of course you can. That would be perfect.
Let's not forget the deep implication. Like, what's the Coven leader's name? I forget her name. The mother of the 2.
Anastasia.
Yeah, when she's like mind melding the like dingus Jedi who ruins everything, that young guy. She strongly implies that he has like a secret like girlfriend or something on Coruscant. It's like, oh, what's going on here? There's some. She talks to him about like stuff he's like covering up basically back home, and she like entices him that he can probably get back home by going along with what she's doing. It's pretty funny. There's some little bit of subtext there, like he's not following the path quite properly. It's good stuff. But I mean, he's a petulant child like who would never have got that far in the Jedi Order behaving that way, and I don't find it credible that he was made a master 6 years following those incidents. It's just improbable.
I think when they refer to him as Master Torben, it's the same way like in Revenge of the Sith, like the kid goes up to Anakin during Order 66 and is like, Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. I think it's meant as a form of reverence, not as in like an actual title.
I guess, but it's like they almost give that guy like he has like status because he's been meditating for like 6 years, even though it's just essentially doing nothing.
Oh, it's like playing AFK, like just racking up stats. That's how he's just got like a He's got,
He's got his bot out there. He's collecting force points.
he's using a force macro, and he's like just going to work and stuff. So he shouldn't be able to do that.
It's weird. I agree that it's clunky, but I don't think it's anywhere near as clunky as The Rise of Skywalker. Like, it's not like, they at least had 4 hours to like sort it out.
Yes, they had way too much time to sort it all out. But no, I think I'm not saying the whole show is incredibly clunky, but I think episode 7 is just like how weirdly and unnecessarily drawn out everything is. And like, again, like you have Mother Anastasia turn into a giant space cloud that apparently can be impaled. You can survive numerous impalements with a lightsaber as a human being, but as a space mist, like smoke. You can't. Like it's great. I love how just kind of just like, okay, just go with it. That's the vibe this show gives off. Just go with it. Like, but not in the way that like, oh God, like other forms of entertainment do it. It's very much just like buckle in, you're in for the ride, deal with it. And
I know the other witch that we've seen do anything would be in like Battle of Endor, the Witch of Endor. In that would be another like on-screen witch, and she like turned into a raven or something? I don't think she turned into smoke. Yeah.
Well, I was my initial reaction to the melting into a black cloud of smoke was annoyance and I was indignant about it, and I was like, what are you guys doing? You can't turn into a puff of smoke. And then I remembered when I, like a year ago, was like joyously playing Jedi Survivor, where Marin does basically the exact same thing and like teleports around like Nightcrawler, and it's like that. And because that was an awesome action set piece, it didn't seem to bother me. So I guess it's essentially the same power but you can be stabbed if you're in the last 90% of turning into black smoke. He got her just in time. A few seconds later, it would have just been safe.
So it's Jedi reflexes. That's why he's a master. He's like, I can take down smoke ladies quick.
All right, let's see. Russ, what did you think of the episodes 6, 7, and 8?
So I've always liked the show, and I agree with you. A little clunky at parts. I'll say that, towards the end, as good as the conclusion was, the very end, I know we'll probably talk about a lot of that, but I do like the show a lot. I do like the characters, but it's like the clunkiness seems to be in the moments where they've got like had all this time to do stuff, and like things where she's going to erase her mind towards the end. It's like, oh my God, now you have to erase my mind, and you have to go with him, and we have to do this. It's like so much happened in like this 20-second span when he finds him at that tree, where you're like, wait, where are we going here? Wait, and just I don't know. The romanticized like sticking together that people that should just be stabbing each other seem to be doing sometimes. I don't know, but I do like the show and the characters a whole lot. So,
Joe,
I found it interesting. I wouldn't say it was the best show, but it was interesting. It was a little bit sort of had a mystery to it. Heavy footly, had a mystery. But it wasn't really it had some level of intrigue to it. There's a lot of unanswered questions for me. What was the Wookiee writing on his spaceship walls in the forest? That wasn't ever gone over. I think that would have been something to find out. Like if he was trying to prove the virgins on that planet based off of the 2 kids, that would have been, something if that came out. That's why he was in exile, especially with all those little cave drawings he had on his ship. But
those were all witch drawings, right? Those were like the markings that they had on.
Yeah, the markings.
Yeah.
Joe, I think unfortunately the meaning behind that is, being
witches be tripping.
Being possessed by 50 witches really traumatized Jedi Wookiee, and it never sat well with him that when Trinity saved him, 50 witches died. So he really just, he dedicated his life to like trying to figure out that nonsense after the fact. Something to that effect. Because these Jedi were really messed with by this incident. At least Torben and the Wookiee. They really had to reflect on it. For some reason, they felt accountable.
It's almost like the witches did the remember thing from Star Trek 2, and they're like inside the Wookiee still. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, they did. There is a couple close-ups of the very generic yin yang symbols and spirals that the witches have that the Wookiee drew on his walls. That there's a couple insert shots of those.
But all in all, it was the last episode. I didn't mind at all. I thought it was actually probably one of the better last episodes that they did, especially with giving us a little Easter egg of what's going to come in season 2. Probably the next big bad. We got to see Master Yoda at the end for like 5 seconds.
People are mad about that. Zenger wanted to pass on. Zenger's not here. That he was mad about. He loved it all until he saw Yoda pop his head up.
Well,
and I mean, we all know Yoda was there around that time. I wasn't really surprised by that. And I will have an admission here. It wasn't after the show was over. I was like, oh wait, Plagueis was in this, because I actually did look away. I must have looked at my phone or something. It's like it's very much a scene where I was like, all right, it's early on and things are moving along. I definitely looked down and I looked later. I'm like, wait, I missed this completely. I had to go back and find it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I had to go spoil myself after watching the show.
But I did like the little interactions that the Stranger and Osha had, and how they were almost coming together towards the end and they were bonding. That was probably the highlight of probably the last episode, was how close they got. I know that there's a lot of people. I was reading that a lot of people were angry that that she turned the lightsaber red. She bled the kyber crystal. And the one thing I do hate is all of this Star Wars explaining at the end of every show. I think you have people that are online making videos about this stuff, and like, she had direct access to the kyber crystal, so she was able to channel her rage into it and made it bleed and turn red. And then a lot of people are sitting there, well, Anakin killed younglings and his blade never turned red. So it's always this.
I'll be honest, I was one. That scene really annoyed me. And I did post a picture of a bomb pop because the art of it now looks like it's the blue, white, red stripes. Like, that happened for 1 second. I know it's fun to put in art. But yeah, honestly, me and my wife definitely both looked at each other. And that's when that part of me came out. I was like, that's not how you bleed a crystal. And why would Anakin? I had the same exact feeling. And I kind of stick with it. I would say I'm known of the concept of them bleeding these crystals, but I'm picture they're sitting in some hate hole with like a mud hat and they're like surrounded and there's chanting and witches are moving around and smoking around. And like, I pictured a whole different scenario than you just like could do it like that.
By accident. Yeah, basically. Yeah, I don't know. But, you just got to keep in mind that, red lightsaber crystals are such because they are synthetic and it's a byproduct of the manufacturing process, and the Acolyte's not canon. But it's a fun watch either way,
What are you talking about? It has to be canon now. It was a long time ago, though. They Jedi put a note. They put a little safety in after this. That's why Anakin's couldn't do it. They had a no bleed. We could always say
no
that.
Bleed. A built-in Band-Aid for the kyber crystal. No bleed. They got some gauze that they stuff into the hilt.
It literally looks like she cuts her hand on the crystal and literally physically bleeds on it. And that's what it looks like it happens if you watch it. It's like, that's not even how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, literally bleed. I didn't even catch that. And I gotta ask this of you guys. So, is Quamir kind of smarter than the Jedi? Like, any of you guys for a second think that Soul might actually win that? Because it was a very, very fun fight, especially when they were ripping apart that balcony. Like, the action in the show is like top notch.
Yeah. It actually sort of felt like they, like there was a couple cool transitions between Osha and May's fight and Quamir and Soul, and it's like, it's funny that this stuff stands out to me as good. It's like, because it's really like the bare minimum, like planning out your sequences that we just have come to not expect. But just like a couple of the clashes, like they lined up the shots so that it transitioned between them in an interesting way, and like it's like, remember filmmaking, like we remember trying a little bit. That's great. That's good stuff.
One thing I will say about the lightsaber bleeding and like comparing it to like the whole Anakin thing in Revenge of the Sith, and this is definition of like headcanon, but I will say that But the whole OSHA thing, you can say she is experiencing true rage maybe at that moment. If you look at Anakin prior, I guess, to like the duel on Mustafar, you do have that moment with him, like after he's wiped out like the Separatist, where he is like, I don't want to say weeping. I think weeping's a bit like exaggeration, but I think when he's going through the temple, that's an order. He's doing that reluctantly. I don't think there's rage going through him. Not the umpteenth like form of rage. Whereas by the end, like when he's like, oh God, being like turned into like a melted marshmallow, then he's feeling the rage. And you segue that into the Vader comic, where I think that's like the first thing that Palpatine has him do is like go get a lightsaber crystal and bleed it, stealing it from a Jedi. So no, like I said, like, that's definitely not canon, but I think that's probably at some point there'll be a comic for Revenge of the Sith that explains why that didn't happen to Anakin. There'll be something where Palpatine would be like, Anakin, you forgot this thing 15 years ago. Let me explain it to you.
I'll never accept
the
it.
idea
But
out there. I mean, whatever. I'll have to accept it because what is. But it's not going to take that much away from liking.
But it's like it's so. But I mean, it's just so insulting. It's like the reason is because that dumb idea didn't exist when they made Revenge of the Sith, and Lucas didn't think that was important or interesting. That's the real reason. But and
actually,
that's fine.
Chris, considering that you've already forgiven one sin of this show based on Jedi Survivor, Dagan Gara also bleeds his lightsaber crystal in Jedi Survivor.
In the game?
I've heard as well.
Yeah, he bleeds. Remember, when Cal wakes him up from stasis, he bleeds his lightsaber crystal.
The games and other TV shows always seem to be playing a lot of cover. Remember when Baby Yoda healed what's it?
He's trying to eat me.
He healed him, and then the next week, Rey was healing people. It's like, yup, you can't say nothing. You loved it a week ago. Grogu did it. All right, the dude in the game you like did it. You gotta accept it. And it's like that happens a lot. And maybe that's the cope. Sometimes I guess sometimes you need like, all right, fine. If I have to accept it, I will.
Yeah, it's just that this idea that everything that comes out now is canon makes it really hard for them to back off on a really dumb idea. They just have to commit to every stupid thing they've ever said. Like what brought bleeding crystals into canon? Like it was. I'm sure it was like
make one blue. Like
I'm sure it was a novel.
It was something like the Vader comic, like the 20.
It's not like
like
Shatterpoint or something. Okay.
No, it's still that's like one of the first thing that happens in the Vader comic is that like after the Emperor tells him to go find a Jedi, and it's because I have that comic somewhere. That Jedi is doing the same thing that Torben's doing. Like he's in a weird sort of like exile / like meditation stasis, and that's the one Vader I think steals his lightsaber and bleeds his crystal.
Give me
it's like from 26, I think 2016 or 2017.
Yeah. It's just like it was some guy had that idea and it like ended up in a Vader comic, and now they're just like, let's put it in a TV show because it was in a comic 7 years ago and it has to be canon now.
And it's also one of those things where maybe it's a visual you want to do, and it's dramatic. It's just something that hasn't been done. I think Star Wars is kind of getting to a point sometimes where these different directors are like, well, I want to do something that hasn't been done, and when they have to, you kind of maybe sometimes end up with stuff like this, but also end up with really interesting stuff. Like all the Quamir stuff is great. Like he's a great new villain.
Yeah, well, I feel like until this show, lightsabers were really losing their visual impact, like as a presence on screen, and like this show did a couple of interesting things. I would not put bleeding the crystal among them. Just like I think some of the duels like actually made lightsabers feel mildly threatening again. So it's like, it just felt like they were some of the fights were actually intense, which was a nice refreshing change. I did not feel that way in any of the Ahsoka duels, that's for sure. I knew they were just all Nerf City, and that neither the enemy nor Ahsoka would be harmed in any way in any of those duels, which turned out to be accurate.
Yeah, that's what made this show fun. Is that this so long ago we don't know any of these people. I was really surprised that what was his name? Mog. Yord. No, Yord died. The other one, Mog, whatever the guy's name is. Vicentra's Padawan.
Oh,
but I will honestly say when they went back to Brendok as the conclusion, I was really thinking that one of maybe the other mother was still alive. They seemed to hint at some kind of witch presence still, like kind of throughout the show. Where she even looks at her in episode 5, is like, there's only one other person who's ever done that. Now, it was kind of almost implied that maybe she still is out there and she has something to do with this, but that just completely ignored because we just got the Jedi cavalry coming in, and now nobody died except Soul, right?
Yeah, and it was kind of weak.
Well, but that's the thing, though. This show has left open a couple of loose ends intentionally. Mother Quarrel being the one that you're referencing, Russ. The connection between Venestra and Quymere, clearly that's a through line into the next season. And then the biggest one being Darth Vegas. Like, that's their again, like, oh god, Joe, I know you can corroborate this. In real life, you and I discussed this, and like we always said, there was going to be their Thanos moment. There was always going to be something at the end of this series where it was going to bait it for something much bigger that the Star Wars nerds were going to like perk up and go ooh and point at the screen. That was always going to be their hook. Like, you would imagine that if I had to guess for this show, because like based on the viewership, it's not doing well. It's probably going to get a second season.
Is it not doing that great? Everything I see is like rah about it.
Well, no, like the chatter is rah here and there, but like if you look at like the numbers from Nielsen and stuff, like when episodes 1 and 2 debuted, they were in the top 10 for original series, and then like for episode 3, it dropped off. It might come back in probably for episode 5, just simply because the amount of just hoopla that caused. If I had to guess, this will probably be like the Star Wars Resistance equivalent of like a live action TV show. They'll get a second season to wrap up their loose ends, and then like these characters will stay in like comics and like books. Because I know even for like the publishing initiative, like there's like 3 or 4 like new books coming. I know there's a Venestra Indara novel that I think is coming out next year. There's a Kelnaka comic that's coming. Like I said, these characters will show up again somewhere if they don't get a season 2, but I think they have to wrap up their loose ends here. And I think they realize too that Quymere is just, oh god, 6 to 18 months from now, that character is going to be not big whiskey level, but pretty darn close. Like that he's going to be slapped on so much merchandising, it's going to be crazy.
And I think the whole High Republic thing needed some kind of boost, and this is adjacent enough to where I don't think like most common Star Wars fans give to anything about the High Republic. This probably put some eyes on it if they move that whole era up a little towards, focusing on these characters. That'll probably actually help that. That's why I do see him definitely doing. You don't just show Yoda at the end and be like, I don't know, use your imagination if you have any left, guys. It's like, no, I guess you got to show us.
Y'all think that's the episode 8 Yoda puppet they just had sitting around, so they just rolled it out on a pallet?
The same one from The Last Jedi.
That was actually Frank Oz. It's just what he looks like now.
That's what I mean. Like but it's also like so uncanonical because Yoda appears to be a CGI character prior to episode 5. So it's like, why is he a puppet? And then it's like the episode 1 thing over again. It's like now he's a puppet, then CGI, then back to a puppet. It's really quite outlandish.
I thought it was Deep Roy.
Real sets, practical effects.
He's Deep Roy for like one shot, Russ.
Actual Deep Roy. Yeah, the Yoda butt scene, the best scene ever. He's the best Yoda.
They could milk this for a long time if they needed to.
I don't think the support is there, man.
You sit there, and if you set it up to a place where you introduce Palpatine in season 2.
How? That's like 100 years ago.
But still, they can sit there and they can push it up. They can make time pass.
Oh, like just keep going through. Oh, 30 years later.
Yeah, take a look at Katie Sackhoff's character. She hasn't aged a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there even in the Legends timeline, there's a bunch of humans make it past 100 years old in Star Wars. Just they got slightly better medical technology. Bacta makes all the difference. Gives you an extra 70 years.
I would say though, but how would that work for Palpatine though? Like he's like a normal citizen who was a politician. Yeah. He's got the most public life of all. I don't know how they could be like. You're like 90 and you look like you're what? What is this?
They don't care. They just did it to Kiadi Mundi. Like, what do you mean? They just did it right in front of you and said, what are you going to do about it, Russ? We're moving his birthday 100 years earlier. You're not going to do anything about it. That's right. You're going to take it and enjoy it.
That's the thing. So they end season 2 where you see a young Palpatine, you're going to get people foaming like, ooh. And then next thing you know, he's going to sit there and turn Palpatine in season 3. And then you see him off Plagueis in season 4. And then season 5, you sit there and see him recruit Darth Maul. And then you could have, it's almost like you get an Acolyte each season. That's where I think if big if, that's something that they could possibly do. But would they do it? Probably not.
They'd have to jettison all their favorite characters that they just introduced us to, because you're talking about jumping like multiple decades per season, the thing you're describing.
This is a Rogue One type thing. All of these people never show up besides Yoda and Cinemoddities.
He's the plot armor. Yeah, you got and baby Palpy, wherever he is.
Not in episode 1 or episode 2, 3, 5, whatever. None of them. So it's a Rogue One type thing that they could be doing. These are all characters that are from the books. They offed a bunch of them. Those other characters were in the books. The only ones that they have to really get rid of is Venestra, Quamir,
and Basil.
You have Osha. Get rid of them, and then guess what? You clear the board, and then you're ready for that.
I just think that the Plagueis novel is so beloved that if they just do a haphazard metal detectors detecting force anomalies version of Darth Plagueis, like, it'll be so unforgivable to so many people. Like, that novel is loved more than like many of the films. It's like I think they've been avoiding trampling it for a long time with like new comics and stuff because they know that they don't want to fumble the bag there. And it's like, I know that Acolyte season 2 is not gonna, like, just based on season 1, Acolyte season 2 is not gonna one up the Darth Plagueis novel. It's gonna like Disney Weekends the Darth Plagueis novel, and it's gonna be offensive.
So how would that work with keeping the lore of the novel? Because isn't it assumed that just Plagueis is the master at this point, and that Quamir, they confirm that he is like, no, I am the apprentice, the actual Sith apprentice, and there's no one above Plagueis at this point. There
probably shouldn't be, but it's just like I don't want to see. It's not a big deal to push Cinemoddities 100 years into the past, but like if you do that to Palpatine, it's getting a little weird with how we sort of see him introduced in episode 1. Like you're saying, he's a very public figure. It's like I don't like the idea that he had like an earlier personality. I feel like if you're under the witness protection program and you rewrite your personality, you're probably not making it to be a senator in the Republic. I don't want him to have this weird backstory that's like super convoluted.
Well, if you sit there and if you were to put an age on Palpatine in episode 1, how old would you think he is?
Oh, like 57.
I feel like there is a canon answer to that.
But
right?
Yeah, he's probably in his either late 40s, early 50s, if you just eyeball it. So people on Naboo sit there and they actually train their youngins to be civic minded when they're young. Look at Queen Amidala. She was queen at what age? 10? 11? So you sit there and 30 years. Who's to say that, a person in his 50s or late 40s, he catches that, Plagueis sniffs around. You don't have to worry about going that far into the future.
Cinemoddities did not have a canon birthday. He had a Legends birthday. And apparently Palpatine does have a canon birthday that was established in the recently 1 year ago released Star Wars Timelines book. And Palpatine is 84 years old during the Battle of Yavin. So he's like 50 in episode 1. So like he can't be around in Acolyte season 2 unless they jump like 50 years or something.
Yeah, I don't think they'll mess with that, but they do want to play with Plagueis. I think they'll just make Plagueis super old, and there'll be some plot next season where it's about him wanting to just start getting younger and younger and staying alive, because that's all we know about him, that he was obsessed with keeping people alive, and maybe some of the legend that'll play in where he has to keep someone alive there, that we'll see that he's playing with, and she is a part of it. She's like the Grogu of the show, right? Osha at this point, where like, oh, you're the virgins, and who made you? And she's Grogu and Anakin kind of mashed together a little.
I mean, I don't. The last couple episodes are so weird. Like, I feel like they were going somewhere with her as a character, and then they're like, "Oh, we got 45 minutes left, so she's just gonna go insane." And that's the end of the story. And the
murderer. So she's before she gets her mind wiped. She's like, "Oh wait, you're alive." Never mind. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to kill all those people.
Yeah,
she might as well have not had her mind wiped the way she was acting. She's like, "I didn't make a bunch of Jedi kill themselves." Like, yeah, you did, like a week ago.
Yeah, she really only killed Trinity. Really, I think if you get super analytical about it.
Oh yeah, I guess the other one he killed himself, and she didn't have to kill Baka.
Yeah, but it's just like but it seemed like there was sort of a logical character progression there, and then the last couple episodes they're just like, well, we got to wrap this up, so she's gonna go crazy, join Khmer, and for the life of me, I have no concept of the scene you were talking about when they erase her memory and run off. It's like, please explain to me after all of that you guys just went through, why you're all three of you not just leaving together. You literally looked for this person for like years of your life. It changed the whole direction of your life, realizing your sister was alive, and now you're gonna forcibly erase all memory of her, and you guys are just not going to leave together for some reason because you just decided it.
Yeah, that was some technicality. She's like, "Oh, you'll never make it with us." But I was like, "What are you talking about? You were way more powerful than her like 20 minutes ago." That was that was the whole quick part. It's like, yeah, I know there was like a way to get to where they got, but it just when Jack says clunky, that's the one scene that sticks out to me.
It's nuts. It's like it's just throwing away all the work they put into like find each other, and it's like they could reclaim part of the family they lost, but it's like just this insane for no reason where you're gonna stay here and we're gonna erase your memory, but I'll find you. Instead of just keeping you right now, I'll find you later when you don't remember who I am, and you're probably in Republic jail.
Last look, sir, at my friends.
She had her 3PO moment.
I thought that they were going to merge by the tree. I really thought that they were going to merge. They were going to V'ger by the tree, and they were going to sit there, and they were going to merge, and then they were going to become one, and then they're going to be whole again.
That makes sense.
Like Furiosa? Oh, I thought like the tree would be part of them.
Yeah, because in the last episode, Khmer's like, yeah, you guys are actually like one, or Soul says they're one person, and I don't know how you guys aren't sisters. You're the same person. You guys aren't
even sisters. You're not friends. You're not lovers. You're not even people. We don't even know why. They kept going on with that. He's like, no, I'm dead. And I still have a mystery to die with.
Yep, and it explains why one is a dingus and the other's not. Like they're left brain, right brain, and they need to be merged back together. Joe, that was definitely an idea at one point. Now that you say that, they definitely considered doing that. It just sounds right. It's stupid, but it makes more sense than just deciding to. So one of them should arbitrarily surrender to the Jedi and erase their memory last minute. It's like, okay, I hope that memory wipe works, or they're just coming right after you if they can undo it as easily as you did that.
That would have been the payoff. But hey, Disney era Star Wars.
To be fair, the May change of heart is set up in episode 4, where she gets Quimir like strung up by his heels, and it's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I will say that feels more arbitrary than what happens in episode 8. Her turning in episode 4 is a little more like, wait, what? Versus her refusal to go with him in episode 8.
Yeah, but I mean, part of the reason she was so annoyed with the Jedi to the point of hunting them down was that they, from her point of view, her whole family died because of them. Finding out her sister's still alive was a big deal to her, and it was like, why am I even doing any of this if the goal is right there? Which makes it so much weirder that they would arbitrarily split up at the end of the show to me.
Well, I think May realizes that Quimir's the villain.
You're going to let your sisters hang out with the villain?
No.
Right, and I think part of Quimir's whole thing was that she says it early on that he collects people. I think his whole point of May was to get Osha the whole time.
I don't think so. I don't think Quimir knew that one of them was the key. One of them was going to be able to do what he needed done to kill a Jedi without a weapon. And he didn't know which one of them was it. And May started off, she had a lot of vengeance in her, but she thought she was being used just to kill the Jedi by him. And it turns out that when May finally does it, he sees that she's the one all along, and she's the one that he's supposed to be training because she will be an acolyte. And May sidesteps it because what does she have left to do? Her whole mission was to kill a Jedi without a weapon. And it wasn't her destiny to do that. It was her sister's. So what does she have left? That's why she would probably want to forget about it, because what did she do up to this point? She couldn't do the job that she thought she was meant to do.
Yeah, and where'd he go with that? Now she's just like, duh, like she's got no brain, no memory. She's like an 8-year-old in the Jedi have her. It's like she's gonna have a whole weird arc in the next one where they can just put whatever on her.
So she should be in jail in high maximum security Republic jail in season 2.
Lock
if you never
her
get
up,
it.
right?
Well, no, because she's part of the cover-up. So Vanessa has to do something. Well, that's what I think is going to be interesting, because like May Osha is your true protagonist of the series. So if they do get their season 2, like obviously the Osha Quimir relationship or just partnership, whatever you want to call it, is going to be one element of it. But what is Vernestra going to do with May? Like, she can't send her to prison because that's implicating somebody else besides Soul. Like I said, I would imagine, like I said, I agree with Joe. The idea of every season and making this like an anthology, but with a very specific through line of this Sith. Like, I know there's been some quote unquote controversy with, I guess, Leslie Headland saying at one point, like, oh no, this show is like about the Sith and their origin. And people are like, no, it's about like a Jedi that tried to like kidnap a little girl. And it's like, not really, because you can see that the title of the show, I would assume, is Quimir. He is the acolyte, and his frustrations with the idea of being both a student and finding his place in all of this. No, that's what I would imagine season 2 is going to be. It's going to be, maybe you might get some more flashbacks, because I saw some stuff on social media as well where you see Osha and Jecki talking in the Jedi Temple, like, oh, maybe next time I'm on Coruscant, you and I can like go to Dexter Jetsters and like talk about what it's like to be Soul's apprentice. I wouldn't be surprised also if you see a lot of these characters come back in the form of flashbacks again. Like I said, I think in the whole idea of like the Virgins and the Force, I don't think this is probably the most, maybe with the exception of Ahsoka, the most spiritual Star Wars show we've gotten, as in what it's trying to pave groundwork for what the Force is trying to do at this time frame. Like much like how the sequel trilogy was about the light and the dark, light to match darkness. I could see that being the same thing here. That's the problem. I don't know. And if you go back to like what Leslie Headland said in interviews after the fact about Plagueis, because even after I watched episode 8, I'm like, oh, is Quimir even cognizant of Plagueis? Is Plagueis like in the shadows just watching him? And then in an interview, she's like, oh, no, like Plagueis is very much aware of what Quimir is doing through all of this. And I'm like, oh, so you've taken some of the air out of the balloon there.
Yes, you took the mystery out in these interviews. Because I've seen little snippets of it, but I am aware that she does pretty much interviews after every episode, correct? And kind of tries to clear up fan questions and stuff like that.
Yes, she's trying to kind of prune the discourse.
Y'all see that meme where Osha like wakes up in the middle of the night and it's Plagueis like getting a glass of milk from the fridge?
Yes.
That's pretty good stuff. I don't know.
It's weirdly fitting.
Yeah, it's weird because they're spooning in it too. You're like, oh yeah, I guess they're like a couple.
Oh yeah, day one. Yeah.
If you sit there and you look at it, the Sith rule of 2, what usually happens, the apprentice usually finds their own apprentice to to overtake the master.
They usually wait a respectable amount of time. Like, this is just off the rails, you know.
But who knows how long Quimir was Plagueis' apprentice.
I think it's Plagueis I think Plagueis had something to do. I mean, Plagueis all about making life and all that and saving life. I think he's definitely has a connection to the twins for sure. I think he's just pulling the string to get it to him.
I disagree with that, because if you go back to the point where Soul's like, no, you are two halves of the same individual, the Force created life. You see Quimir and his head tilts. Like, the camera cuts to him and you can tell he's listening very intently to this. So either this is novel information that he's going to then relay to his master, or this is like ramblings he's heard from his master and he's now seeing somebody else corroborate this, oh God, tall tale that maybe he was told.
Yeah, it fits in with the Plagueis lore. That's why Plagueis wasn't like a big surprise. I mean, it kind of was, you know, but I think it's what people wanted. So,
like I said, I think the show, the thing, if I'm Leslie Headland and I'm Lucasfilm and Disney, I think it's getting the headlines that, like, again, it's getting Last Jedi headlines. It's getting the notoriety that just it's taking up space in the public square, which is always a good thing. It's not being forgotten immediately like the Marvel TV shows are. It's like people had an anger hard on for this, which means that at least it has oxygen. I don't know. Like I said, I think this gets a season 2. They're probably going to wait until like a D23, if there's one of those this year, to announce it. Like I said, and there's also doing more merchandise. I know, going back to San Diego Comic-Con reveals, there seems to be more merchandise coming out for this.
I haven't seen one thing yet. I can't wait to see something out in the wild. I haven't seen any wild acolytes.
Well, no, like there's rumors, there's pictures on social media of like the first wave of Black Series like trickling into Walmarts on the West Coast.
Seen the 6-pack. What do y'all think of the vintage 6-pack? Chris is saying thumbs down. You don't want that vintage Jeckie and Yord?
In the prequel retro collection, I don't like that either. I don't know, man. Something rubs me the wrong way about new media and in which having like Kenner style figures.
That stuff sells out here, Chris.
Yeah, they're fun to mix in with other. You put one in the back of your $600 cantina. You got a little Jeckie hanging back there. No one will notice.
Inauthentic.
But okay. But that's the thing, is that also at Comic-Con, they have all the costumes on display. They have all the props on display. They wouldn't be pouring, and even I'm not even sure if you guys have noticed, like even on social media, like I keep getting ads from both like Disney Plus, Disney, Lucasfilm, the official Star Wars account, like not posts, but like ads being like all 8 episodes of The Acolyte streaming now. They're clearly pouring marketing dollars into this after the fact in a way that they wouldn't be doing it if they thought this was a lost cause.
Well, the other thing too you have to always worry about is when's new Star Wars content coming out?
Skeleton Crew.
Yeah,
maybe
Skeleton Crew.
The weird phantom black mist of television. How many years has that sat in the can just waiting to come out?
What they're doing is they're sitting there and they're holding their own, trying to still make it relevant. Just still trying to ride that wave.
Well, yeah, and they have, and like I said, and this is their shiny new toy at the moment.
Yes. So is Skeleton Crew going to be spooky? Is it going to be in time for Halloween?
Yes, Russ. Skeleton Crew is basically Galaxy of Fear, the TV show.
Yes, please, yes, please, for the love of God and all that is holy. I would, if they actually have the gall to do like Star Wars Goosebumps over Star Wars Stranger Things. Oh God! Like that's brilliant.
With little Max Rebo's nose is going to pop up. It's going to be great.
Can you, imagine you are a Lucasfilm executive and someone comes in and is like, I have a great idea for like spooky Star Wars. And they're like, oh, Stranger Things Star Wars? No. Are you afraid of the dark Star Wars? Like, that's like, okay, like keep going. Like, where is this? Because if you go back to your rumors back during the Mandalorian season 3, like the giant like space cabbage pirate, he's supposed to be like a main antagonist of this show. Like him and his marauders are supposed to be the main bad guys. Allegedly.
They could have so much fun with that. Like imagine if they they could go to Korriban and they could be hassled by like the the evil specter of Nagasado or something. It looks like Tutankhamun chasing them around the
That's
tomb
what I mean.
all glowing.
And
Could
you
be
d-
great, man.
And you do what Galaxy of Fear did. You'd sprinkle in some Dr. Evazan. You like there's a shotgun of Boba Fett. It's like
Yeah.
it pretty much writes itself after a while, as long as you're having fun with it.
All right, now I'm excited for it. Yeah, but the problem is you do it right after this epic undertaking of noble Jedi and Sith corruption from the past, and then the casual though just sees like, oh, is this what happens next? But
That's it. It has to be canon. That's the problem.
But that's the fun thing though. Is like it's so like this, going back to Star Wars toy reveals, like even seeing like the Hasbro display of all the stuff that's coming out, and like you see, oh, Acolyte figures, oh, vintage collection Blurg, oh, like vintage collection, oh god, like Rocket Trooper, and then there's like Black Series like Calrissian Endor with blonde-haired Imperial lady, and I'm just like, this is like Whiplash. I'm like, I get it, like a bunch of, oh god, what was the name of Calrissian Endor's girlfriend? Bix?
Yeah.
Like yes, the Bix, Luthen, and Mon Mothma figures for the most part sold. Like those toys sold. But like you see blonde-haired lady, I know her name's not Deb, but I want to call her Deb so bad. It's like you look at it, and again, Andor's the weird thing that sticks out, like in all of this. It's the odd man out. It's the multiple choice question of which one of these does not belong.
I don't know. I like that. I mean, the main Andor figure like of Cassian from that show kind of sucks. I'm glad they did a different one. He's got like a big like winter jacket on.
Oh, 100%.
It's like I do not like that first Andor figure, except for the fact that it comes with the Briar pistol. That's the only good thing about it. But other than that, but I did get the one that had that came with B2, the Black Series one that eventually went
B2 emo.
that's what I need. I've been looking for one of him.
Yeah, it eventually went pretty cheap.
But I don't think, like I said, I don't like. They are clearly just doing a like multiple genres approach to all this. Whether it be the Acolyte, whether it be Skeleton Crew, Andor, the Mandalorian. Like the Mandalorian started filming like a couple days ago. Who's to say that, like, I don't know if Lucasfilm is having a presentation during Comic-Con. I know Marvel is. Who's to say that we don't get footage from that? I remember when Captain America, the First Avenger, was filming for like 11 days and they had a sizzle reel put together for Comic-Con 2010. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised if they start, again, the drip, drip, drip of getting people on the hype machine. Like I will say there's one thing I was thinking about, and this goes to like overall Walt Disney Company, just how they look at all of their properties, all the horses in the stable. And I imagine, Chris, you probably are aware of this, but Inside Out 2, the highest grossing movie of the year, highest grossing animated movie of all time. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, I remember when the first Inside Out came out 9 years ago, like it made money. Like I watched it like on Blu-ray and I'm like, okay, like it's cute for what it is. Like it's again, it reminded me more of the Disney ride Cranium Command than anything else. But I'm like, okay, like it's again,
head, right?
What's that?
It's like Herman's head, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, it's a novel premise for 2015. I'm like, okay, like, well, like it did what it needed to do. And you see this, and it's kind of blowing up. And I'm like, okay, the first movie comes out in 2015. This comes out 9 years later. And I'm like, I wonder if Disney has weirdly cracked the code on when to tap into the vein of nostalgia. And I'm like, Rise of Skywalker comes out. Last Disney Star Wars movie is 2019. This movie is supposedly coming out in 2026, most likely Christmas time. I wonder if they're going to start punctuating their major cinematic events every 6 to 9 years. Figuring that's, think about what's the technical length of a generation is what, 7 years? I wouldn't be surprised if they pretty much put one of their properties, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, animation, whatever. And when I say properties, it could be anything, whether it be like Avengers level, Iron Man level, Captain America level. They put it on ice for 6 to 9 years, and then they tap right back into it again because they realize, oh, we can't do the Last Jedi Solo thing of in the span of 6 months just throw the property against the wall and hope it all sticks. That's what I'm thinking. The fact that Inside Out blew up the way that it did and no one really anticipated it. Like, again, going into this summer, everybody assumed Deadpool and Wolverine was going to be the movie The Beat. It was going to be the ringer. And yet Inside Out 2, like Deadpool and Wolverine will be lucky if it makes 2/3.
I was going to say, didn't that come out this evening? Like, they've been advertising that movie too long. I think it's a problem. I feel like I've seen that movie just because the commercial has been coming on for, it feels like 6 months. Like, it's been nonstop pushing this movie.
Oh, yeah. But that's the thing, though, is that if you would have gone into this summer thinking what's going to be your highest grossing movie, everybody would have told you Deadpool and Wolverine. Yet, without a doubt, it's going to be Inside Out 2. And like I said, and everything with Disney is quantified. That's the problem, is that nobody takes creative risk anymore. Everything is kind of like processed and crunched, and it comes out in like a little like dot matrix, like, and they tear it off and they go, oh, okay, this is the movie we have to make now.
Ray movie 2027.
Well, you have to also to realize that it's a kid's movie.
Yeah, kids are dumb, will watch anything if it's on stream.
And they'll watch it multiple times.
Well, sure, I don't doubt that, but go back and look at The Force Awakens, and everybody forgets this. The Force Awakens is still the highest grossing movie in North America. Like Endgame didn't even get close to beating The Force Awakens.
But what was it rated?
PG-13.
Exactly.
But
Deadpool and Wolverine is R.
But what I'm trying to say though is that just going in with the preconceived notion, like we went into this summer thinking Deadpool and Wolverine was going to just, again, it was going to be the highest grossing thing just by, oh, this is the fait accompli of the narrative.
Yeah, but if you look at the demographics that you're going to have to look at for that, you're going to sit there and see that within anyone above the age of 17, that's going to be the most popular movie in the summer. But anyone who's under 17, you're going to sit there and see Inside Out is. And then if you sit there and poll them, how many times did they see Inside Out? Anywhere between 2 to 3. It's the whole it's the Titanic thing again.
Well, yeah, like, but the point I was getting at is just the narrative going into something. And that's the thing is that, but I don't think Disney anticipated, if you were a Disney executive May 1st of this year, and you would have been asked, what is going to be your highest grossing movie of the year? The momentum, at least anecdotally, was behind Deadpool and Wolverine, not Inside Out 2. That's where your momentum was. And the fact that Inside Out 2 blew up the way that it did, they're going to look at that and, again, try to quantify the success of that movie. And it's not just going to simply be because it's a kid's movie. It's going to be, oh, the movie came out in 2015. We let it go in, I don't want to say go into hiding, but it went into hibernation for 9 years. And then we pulled it out. We didn't hype it up, like Russ was saying, for 6 months beforehand. And we did the regular marketing for it that you'd get for any big blockbuster, and then it became the highest grossing movie of the year. And they're going to use that to basically dictate marketing for everything else going forward.
I could tell you one thing. You know, my daughter, she just had her birthday recently. And what did she want to do for her birthday? She wanted to go with her friends to the movies. So I had to buy a bunch of movie tickets. And what can they watch that I know that I'm not going to get hate mail from a bunch of parents? They can't watch Deadpool and Wolverine, so it was Inside Out. And the one reason why she chose Inside Out even over Despicable Me 4 was because the character aged with her. The character is the same age. Time has passed. The same time has passed for the character that it did for the people that watched the first one. And it just so happens that it's the same. She was the same age as the character.
Yeah.
So she thought it was great. She loved the movie, and all of her friends loved the movie. But the thing was that's what they're doing. They did the same thing with Toy Story. Toy Story, when it was released, the same amount of time that it was between the release of the two movies was the same in the story itself. That's why Toy Story 3, it came out, next thing you know, it was, what was it? It was a long time after that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Toy Story 2 is like 99, then Toy Story 3 is 11 years later in 2010.
Yeah, and it fit. It worked. Because why? The characters grew along with the people that were watching it. And that's the magic sauce that they have with their animation.
Okay, I don't disagree with you because the Toy Story principle is correct. But how old was this daughter in 2015?
2015, she was 9 years ago. She was 6.
Okay. That main character in that movie, Riley, did not age 9 years in real life. I mean, in Inside Out continuity. Like, I know what you're getting. I don't disagree with your point, but I'm looking at like the Pixar time frame.
I know, but still, you sit there and you look at all of the emotions that these kids have now, and that's basically the ones that they're featuring.
But again, I don't like. That's the thing, though. I think you and I are getting at the same point, but we're looking at it from two different ways of phrasing it. The whole point was Inside Out was not being milked every 6 months. It was able to go into hibernation. People were able to appreciate it over a prolonged span of time. So when it reemerged from its like winter slumber, it was a big event. And I think that's what they're trying to do with Star Wars. Again, this is where I'm kind of taking a little bit of like a leap here. This is what they're trying to do with the movies. Is that like the TV stuff is not meant to appeal to everybody. The TV stuff is the same thing that's like the books and the comics. It's on a little bit bigger scale than the books and comics, obviously, but it's not meant to it's not trying to be 4-quadrant entertainment. And that's the thing I'm trying to compare it to Inside Out, is I think Disney's maybe finally realized that we can't just milk this thing every 6 months on the movie scale. And they learned that lesson the hard way also with Marvel. Like, we can't do this. We can't have a new TV show / movie every 3 months. It's going to dilute the brand, which was always the biggest concern with Disney buying Star Wars, was that they were going to it was in their nature. It was the scorpion and the frog. They were going to dilute the brand because they don't know any better. And I think it finally took, a combination of just Solo and the Marvel machine starting to like go on the fritz for them to come to the realization is that these things need to go into hibernation in order for them to be successful. And I think Inside Out 2's success is maybe them finally coming to their senses. Hopefully. Ideally. Wishful thinking coming to their senses.
So what? No, I'm getting older. They need to crank more stuff out. Just keep cranking out. Are they filming Rey right now? Do we even talk about that? Is that being filmed?
Mandalorian Grogu is being filmed right now. I think Rey doesn't even have a finished script yet.
Guardians of the Galaxy. ChatGPT.
So if you're following that model, though, when would that come out? 2027, 2028 would get Rey?
You'll be lucky if you get that film by the end of this decade. If that does not end up in development hell, you'll be lucky if you get it by the end of the decade, I'd say. Like I said, there's no logical way to do not episode 10 without at least 10 years going by after The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, you just direct it. I know Patty Jenkins is probably available.
Patty Jenkins gets out of a Cybertruck this time. Hey guys, Patty Jenkins here.
2 Cybertrucks like skates.
I'm here to announce another movie that will never see the light of day.
Imagine if Rogue Squadron comes out like 10 years after that announcement video and like she does end up actually directing it. That'll be funny.
That would be great, Chris. I would applaud that actually happening, but I can guarantee, like, willing to bet my life on the fact that will never happen.
Yeah, we get games though, man. What about Outlaws? I don't think we've talked about that at all.
Yeah, that's a month. That's coming out a month from now.
August 30th, man. That's okay. That's coming on my birthday. That's what I'm asking for. I like all that quote unquote leaked gameplay. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It actually looks really fun.
Yeah, it's probably going to be good. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be like reach the levels of the Jedi Survivor stuff, but the idea of having like a Grand Theft Auto style like police alert system where the Empire like comes after you to like varying star degrees if you commit crimes, like that's pretty good. I mean, like that has potential. Of course, I'm sure you won't be able to just drive your land speeder down a public street and just mow down civilians like you can in GTA.
And I don't think there's an online option, which would be great if it was just like Galaxies where you just have a bunch of people roam around. But you can only do it. It's more Red Dead Star Wars.
Yeah, I hope it's something like that, but appropriately nerfed.
Yeah, it's got a lot of planets, and you're supposed to just be able to free roam. But I think people say like you can traverse an entire planet in 15 minutes. People are like, yeah, but that's just like going one way, right? Like there's a lot of stuff the other ways. Like,
yeah. Well, believe it or not, they didn't create an entire planet for a game, guys. Like it's like
I will. Okay, Star Wars game tangent. I have any of you played Star Wars Hunters, like the mobile game?
Absolutely not.
I think a long time ago I tried it once, and it's been a while. I know my wife played it for a little bit.
I bought a Nintendo Switch. Chris, I finally bought a Nintendo Switch to play it. I kind of dig it, man. It's like definition of just like you listen to a podcast as you're like just doing it and just zoning out, but it's fun. It's fun.
And that's the one with just like online arenas, right? Where you're in with different people.
Well, yeah, it's like
I have a
capture the-
Switch. I didn't know it was on Switch. I might
Yeah.
have to give that a try.
It's fun. Like I dig it. Like again, it's mindless, but it's cute. Like there's like a Jedi character, a Jedi robot named Jedi Bob.
And aren't there just all just random weird bounty hunters?
No, not Jedi Bob. J3DI. Excuse me.
Find them on there. Team up.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, you have a Switch now and you're still not playing Knights of the Old Republic. Like, what the heck, man? It's not right.
Well, like it's funny because like apparently you, even though if you buy the like Lucas like the like old collection, you still like those two games, KOTOR 1 and 2, are not on the little cartridge. You have to download them. Like it gives you a download code.
I'm pretty sure there's a cartridge that's just KOTOR 1 and 2.
Is it? Because I found that at a Walmart and it said like, oh, like download sheet like inside, like, and there's like nothing in the pack. It's literally just an empty box.
That is strange. So like we'll go through the effort of putting physical stuff out there to get it, but we will not make the actual cartridge for it. Sorry.
You know what I saw at my local game store the other day? The limited run physical copy of Knights of the Old Republic for Switch, and it was $350.
Oh my God.
There's a super duper special edition physical copy of KOTOR for Switch that has like maps and a like replica little metal doodads and stuff. Even that's too extreme for me. But like the real point, Zack, is to play the game. So you should just download it and like play it because it's really good.
We got the discs hanging around for 1 and 2.
I'll wait for the HD rematch that'll come out after Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron.
It's gonna be narratively insulting, so you should play the real one.
Maybe. But I will say,
if you're playing Hunters, the graphics are about as bad as Hunters. You know, you can
Hunters
manage.
is pretty sharp, man. Like it's sharp for like a glorified like mobile game.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm having fun, and that's all.
It's
that
like
matters.
it's his Fortnite. All right, leave him alone.
It's my Fortnite. Thank you,
News
Russ.
or whatever he's doing. Yes.
Oh man, the snicker we just got from Chris there.
Fortnite. You're trying to play.
My wife has the Rey skin in Fortnite. Whenever that came out, she's got a bunch of cool Star Wars skins and stuff.
Chris, never forget that Fortnite is canon to Star Wars. That's where the dead literally speak.
Oh my God, that's
in
right.
December 2019.
You had to be part of that to get major plot points in it.
The idea of like an image of Rey like holding an AK-47 like does kind of appeal to me.
It's funny. It is great, and my wife is really good, and she would win a lot as Rey. It was really fun.
Yeah, I should set that up with and take a figure photo of that with the AK-47 that comes with Vel from Andor. Just to get a shot of Rey holding that. Yeah, that'd be good. But I don't know, man. Like there's, like it's just like the amount of your free time you've devoted to talking about Star Wars nonsense, Zack, and you haven't played KOTOR. Like it's really unfathomable. Like it's not. This is not okay.
It's a weird blind spot.
It's the weirdest blind spot you can have. It really is. It's just like
we all.
It's like
them.
it's. Yeah, it's just but it's like it's so much better than like anything else you'll ever get.
And it's so weird. There's not like a novelization.
But it's because you're the author, Zack. It's an RPG. You can't make a novelization.
I want to be on a rail, Chris. I want to be on that rail and just drive around on it.
I'm here to lead, not to read.
All right. Is there anything else we want to discuss about the Electrolyte, Star Wars Lego talk? We have Evil Millennium Falcon comes out in a couple of days. The Lego Evil Millennium Falcon. If Zenger were here, we'd be talking about that.
It'd be funny to get one of those and paint it like a regular Millennium Falcon.
Paint it. Wow. I don't know. I assume stuff like that. Like if you go to like Toys R Us in Canada, I'm guessing they do like pre-orders for all that stuff. I won't expect that I'll be able to find it. I might just impulse buy the Dark Falcon.
It was up for, I think put that in our group chat, like that Dark Millennium Falcon was like it's like it was on Lego's website with like a pre-order limit of like 3 per customer.
Does it come with
which
evil
is
Han
rare for
Solos and stuff? Like, what are the figures?
No,
on this
Darth
stuff?
Jar Jar, and
Yeah,
it actually is Darth Jar
Light
Jar.
side
Rus,
Darth
like,
Vader.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's cool looking, but like the thing is, like it's just like it's neat to look at, but like the novelty wears off like after 15 minutes. So like I want the Lego Jaws set, if anything.
How do you set it up? What's that thing? It's like, I don't know, something Lego decided to do. Is it from anything?
Well, it's from a Lego cartoon they made to tie in with it. Yeah, it's pretty good. It has Darth Jar Jar in it. Yeah. But the real ultimate Darth Jar Jar collectible will be the Hot Toys repaint. Now that they've made the regular Jar Jar, and they need to add a black cloak to him and some red eyes, and I guess he sort of has red eyes already. But
Get one of those Senate ones where he's got that blue robe covering him or whatever. You can pull it off.
You want the episode 2 Hot Toys with Jar Jar?
He's the perfect candidate to make it. He's already got his robes.
He's like slightly out of shape, and he's a senator, and he ruins the galaxy. That's the version of Jar Jar everybody wants. Yeah, he can't flip anymore.
If only we got Senate speak Jar Jar, man. That whole plot line is just one of the most regrettable things we never got. Ugh.
Dello Felgets. Chris, remember that figure, right? The Saga 2 Jar Jar figure where like he has the robes and like he has like the Gungan like electro like staff that like shocks people.
Of course, there's a 3 3/4 figure of it, but that's the only version of that character that should exist with that costume.
100%.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I got a pretty cool local toy show happening this weekend. Hopefully, I can
Nice.
add some actual like tasteful, good vintage Star Wars item to my collection next weekend. Something with a little bit of like nerd cachet. Not like the Dark Falcon. That's clickbait.
Oh my god. All right. So I'll conclude this episode of Knights of Vader, a Star Wars podcast. Check out the Facebook group. Type in Knights of Vader in the Facebook, and you will find us there waiting for you. Harass Chris at KOV Podcast on Instagram. If you like what you hear, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes and or Spotify. Every 5-star rating helps us grow our platform. Thank you to An Insperiority Complex for providing our theme song. Check out the show notes to hear more from them. But when I am not on this podcast, nope, do not wait for Cinemoddities Monstober 2023. But I was on, friend of the show, John Justice's My Nerd World, discussing the Electrolyte and also nerding out with John for our mutual adoration of The Rise of Skywalking. Thank you, John, for having me on, and go check that out. Chris will most likely link to that in the show notes or on our social media platforms. But when you are not admiring the car with square wheels, Chris, what are you up to?
Well, first I want to apologize because this I was not nearly outraged enough by the Acolyte to entertain the audience as much as I probably should have this episode. Zach's right. It's these Disney Plus Star Wars shows are on the whole not very good, and this is one of the better ones. Unfortunately, that's where we're at as a society. So
at least Boba Fett didn't crawl out of the Sarlacc.
Yeah, like it's just it doesn't have a moment that literally tries to insult me and make me question a lot of my spare time. And that's what's great about this. Like the Kenobi show and Book of Boba Fett are like, you should probably sell your whole collection, Chris. That's what they say to me when I watch it. And this doesn't do that to me, so I wish I could be angrier about it. But that's just not where I'm at right now.
And I wish I could be angry about this. That should be like every Star Wars fan should have that tattooed on their body. I wish I could be angry about this.
It could be worse, and it will be worse. Yeah.
All right, Russ, when you wish you could not be angry about this, what are you up to?
Check out the Unbelievers Podcast. Got a new episode coming out. If you like 90s alien documentaries, talking about Alien Highway. And yes, you mentioned that no one crawled out of the sand of the Sarlacc, but we did see May crawl up the hole that we thought she died in. It is a very almost subtle scene in that final episode, but she did crawl out of her Death Sarlacc. But that's it. Check out Unbelievers Podcast.
Please do. And Joe, when you are not making a JJ the James Cameron Titan sub 3D print. I guess we should say also John Landau, Jimmy C's Rick McCollum died. Shocked the Jimmy C fan community, maybe. But less of that. Joe, what are you up to?
No, absolutely nothing. So catch me do absolutely nothing on absolutely nothing. So
smash that like button for absolutely no reason.
Absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Sign up
No,
to
I'm
like
just
nothing,
comfortably
doing
numb right
nothing.
now and looking at different things to get myself into trouble with. But I did find out that what was it? I could get knockoff Tanaka sisters.
To knock off sisters? What?
Yeah, to knock off sisters. I found a file.
I think you have to first of all stop devaluing my pre-ordered Tonica sisters, and also like that Titan sub you're working on. What you should probably do with that is find yourself on Amazon or Alibaba like a nice articulated lamp that you can swap out the housing for the head of the lamp, and you could have like an articulated Titan sub lamp where like the light comes out of like the headlight on the Titan sub. That'd be great.
I could put an LED in here.
It's a piece of
yeah,
art.
but it needs to be on like an odd lamp arm so you can like move it around and position it to like illuminate your desk. And
That it'd be more of a spot though.
yeah, that'd be
more of a
great.
spot coming down. I
Yeah,
will
you
work on that.
Did
And I can
Titan sub
probably-
have a light like
I can-
that?
All subs do, Zach.
Did this one also did not submerge properly. Like
It had a light.
You could put a lens on it and you could sit there and make it a broad light or a spotlight right there too. You can make flashlights of it.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things that this is so versatile, this design, and I'm going to play with it even more and
Yeah.
maybe
I want
make
that
something,
desk lamp.
maybe something more than a toothbrush holder or a pencil caddy. Thinking
Well,
toilet paper holder next. That'd be awesome.
Who can piss on the memory of those people more, us or Jimmy C? Give it time, folks. Give it time. All right, folks. Good night, but not goodbye. And as always, may the force be with you.
Remember all of them! Down with the Empire!
Cool.
I want the Tanakov sisters. Just for real, I actually do.
$7.
Fine.
$7 for the
I don't have a
file.
printer, but if you print
It's a
them out-
Kenner Vintage.
Oh, they're 5 POA. Like you're not doing anything. You're not robbing the value of my TVC ones with that. That's just not as cool, man.
I just want
It's
one to
not-
hang out in my ghetto cantina, okay?
I could do a ghetto cantina too.
I've got a great ghetto cantina going, but
I just
it's a later Darth.
it was the later Darth.
Uh,
Oh boy, we're recording already.
can you? Well, we don't. I mean, are you not prepared to start, Zach?
No.
That's all right.
Usually, it's more grandiose when we begin recording. It's like there's like a
Well, I
build-up.
just. Yeah. Well, I was starting to hear good stuff.
All
No
right.
more ammo for the slur file. He's keeping on everybody.
Oh, Chris, I want one request that we're recording. I want the beginning of this. I do not want to be an Insperiority Complex. I want the song "Baby Did a Bad Bad Thing" to be the intro music.
I don't know.
I'll let you decide, but like I would.
Is that Chris Isaac?
Yes.
What? But then
I
it's
think
like,
it's appropriate.
But can't they like? You just never know if your recording will get like torpedoed on some platform for doing that. I don't know.
It's the Wild Wild West, man. Like podcasting really
Honestly,
is not
you don't
regulated.
put these up on YouTube. That's the only place I would ever smack it.
They do go. I think Zach still auto uploads.
It'll just say you won't be able to monetize the video, and you can mute it if you want.
That's all it
it'll
is.
say. It won't strike you for it. No.
Interesting.
Dude, we've got so many episodes on YouTube. We use so many. We didn't get about music in the beginning, but all our episodes are up there. So randomly, some band will figure out that they can click some option on their music, and they'll be like, "You can't monetize this because in episode 14 you played this song. Do you want to share revenue with them?" I'm like, "We're not making any money on this." No.
Yeah.
No.
That band has delusions of grandeur, But what can you do?
All right.